Am I the a-hole for refusing to go on a date with a woman because of her religion? I met a woman through some mutual friends about a year ago, and we also became friends. Last week, she asked me out on a date, and I said I wasn't interested. At first, she accepted my answer, but a couple days later, she asked me why I wasn't interested. I felt awkward answering but decided to be honest and said I don't date Christians. She was a little upset by my answer and asked me if I thought that was discriminatory. I said no. She said she isn't even that religious, and I said fine, but I have my own culture and religion, and Christianity tends to consume everything else. That's just my observation from some interfaith relationships I've seen. She hasn't spoken to me since then, but I found out yesterday she's been telling our social circle about what happened. Another friend said he thinks it's discrimination too, and that I should give her a chance instead of assuming she'll try to convert me when she isn't even that religious. I don't actually think she'll try to convert me. It's just that Christians tend to assume their religion is the default, so they don't even realize when they are pushing it. I'd rather date women who aren't Christians, and honestly, I'm fine waiting for a while to find one. Am I an a-hole for discriminating? I went out with a woman once who was a fundie, but I decided to give her a chance against my better judgment. She started pearl clutching because I had a black cat. I shut that crap down before we got started. Of course, it's discrimination. You are discriminating between the PPL you want to date and those you do not, and you're allowed to. Not all discrimination is bad. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she can't have it both ways? We've been married for 9 years, we're in our 30s and have 2 kids. For the most part, I think our relationship is great. We don't really struggle with jealousy or insecurity or the like usually, until recently. I know this makes me sound horrible, but I never really got along with one of her friend groups. These are some of her work friends she started hanging out with about a year ago. Nothing really against them, just didn't really think it was my crowd. It's 2 married guys and 2 women who are divorced, one recently so, and the few times I came along with my wife to their hangouts, it was mostly work talk I didn't find particularly interesting. So usually I just stay home and care for the kids to save money on the sitter and let my wife go. But I was clear with my wife that I just didn't really enjoy that particular group, and while I encouraged her to go out and socialize, I just didn't want to come. She was fine at first, but then the group started pressuring her into bringing me as the guys started bringing their wives around and one of the gals found a partner, so she was feeling awkward coming without me. We argued for a bit, but after a few times she said it was important to her that I come, so I agreed. Well, to my surprise, it turned out I get on really well with one of the guys' wives. We just hit it off immediately because we're a very similar type of geek, so we just talk about TV or movies or anime while the others did their thing. I thought I cracked the code, because now whenever spouses were invited to the hangouts, I could show up and have a good time, and I thought it'd make my wife happy. It did not. Instead of her being happy that I'm coming, she's now acting jealous and saying that it's weird how close I'm getting to that woman. I told her it's not weird, she's just the one person I get along with well in that group outside of herself. My wife asked if I would make more of an effort to not just interact with her, and I said no. I again said that the choice was hers. She could invite me to the hangouts or not invite me, and I would respect it. Moreover, I'm not actually close to that woman. I don't have her number, we aren't connected on socials. I genuinely have no contact with her outside of the group, but if my wife is going to insist I come to these things, I'm not going to force myself into having a worse time. My wife said I'm an a-hole for not putting her needs and wants first, but I told her that's selfish to claim, because she's basically telling me to put myself last regularly so she can both get to bring me to these hangouts but also discourage me from enjoying myself when I come. It seems controlling and petty. So I just again said she can decide if she wants me there or not, but she does not get to dictate how I behave. So am I the a-hole? You don't expect her to stop talking to her male colleagues or the new BF of her female colleague, I assume. So why shouldn't you be allowed to talk to her coworker's wife? You have shared interests with her, while you don't have much to talk about with the other people in this group. Your wife is even with you when you talk to her. It's not like you meet up alone with her coworker's wife. As long as you haven't left anything out of your description, I don't see a problem, not the a-hole. OP replies, I very much don't raise a stink about her interactions with other men. I realize that if she wants to cheat, she's going to cheat, and me being controlling isn't going to do anyone any good. And she's been very chill about this as well with previous women, especially considering that we both often just click with people like this, which is how she formed this friend group. I think it might be that some of the people in the group are teasing her about it, which might make her insecure. Going to have to bring it up with her, I guess. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blocking my friend of 10 years after she committed a HIPAA violation against me? I, 23F, blocked my longtime friend Alice, 23F, of 10 years after she used her work computer to look up my health insurance information without my consent. The worst part is she took a photo of it, sent it through messages which her boyfriend of 1 year has access to. Some context. From my POV, her boyfriend is leeching off of her. She spent thousands of dollars on dates, including a motorcycle that was impounded by police because he didn't bother getting his license or permit. He has used her credit card to buy drugs, has driven her car while intoxicated, and uses everything she owns, including her laptop that he uses to read all of her private conversations. I fear he is isolating her from everyone around her, and it's working. When I saw the photo, she laughed it off, and I was scared but pissed. I asked her why she would do that, and she said she was just curious. I asked her how stupid she could be, not knowing what HIPAA was if she works at a doctor's clinic. She never responded and left me on read. I assumed to run to our other friend Bella. No real apology or accountability. After 2 weeks, I blocked her. I confided in Bella and Clara about the situation. Clara was incredibly understanding, not understanding what possessed A to do this. Bella, on the other hand, loves to play devil's advocate and has always had animosity towards me. Bella said that Alice only had good intentions and that she was only being playful and trying to connect with me as a friend. I found BS and explained that if Alice wanted to connect with me, she could have been an adult and communicated with me, asking for permission before risking her job, committing a HIPAA violation, and possibly leaking my information. I told Bella, what if my SSN was on there? What if A's boyfriend saw it as an opportunity to take credit cards out in my name? Days pass, Bella wants to hang out. I agree, but informed her that I had blocked Alice and that we were no longer friends. I told her that she and Clara were welcome to stay friends with Alice, but that I want to hang out separately. Bella leaves me on read and doesn't reply for days. When she does, she responds along the lines of, I'm sorry that I hurt you, but that if you didn't want my opinion, you should have said so, and next time, I'll keep it to myself. It's clear we both have very different opinions about things. IDK, it felt like she was pushing the blame back to me instead of taking accountability. This week, Clara and I were supposed to hang out. She flaked the first day, claiming she took an extra shift, but then ghosted me completely the second time. After a few days, she apologized and asked if I'm free this weekend. I said, depends, have you heard from Bella? She replied, yeah, I went out with her yesterday, why? Did you want to do something with all of us together? I realized that Bella, who mentioned in her apology text that Clara mentioned a jewelry stand and that we should all had gone with Clara to that same stand the day Clara and I were supposed to hang out. After Bella dropped Clara off, she texted me with the apology message. I've been trying to spend time with both only to be ghosted and left behind. I feel like they used the opportunity to discuss things behind my back. Now, I feel like I'm being iced out. I'm starting to feel like they're planning some intervention/ambush to get me to forgive Alice. The trust is gone and I feel hurt. I've tried being honest and setting boundaries, but now I'm wondering if I'm being excluded for standing up for myself. Now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for blocking Alice over this? And would I be the a-hole if I distanced myself from Bella and Clara too? Update. I apologize for taking so long, but I have an update. Also sorry in advance for the long post. A quick recap of my original post with new names. My best friend of 10 years, A is now Alice, used her work computer to look up my health insurance information, took a photo using her phone and sent me the screenshot through messages. Alice works at a doctor's clinic and her boyfriend has access to her messages via her laptop that he uses. After no sincere apology and no response from her, I blocked her. After explaining what happened to B is now Bella, who usually plays devil's advocate, dismissed my concerns, claiming Alice was just trying to be playful and was only trying to connect with me. I spoke to C is now Cassie, who was the only one who saw the absurdity and seriousness of it all. But after Cassie went out with Bella, one of the days we were supposed to hang out, Cassie ghosted me out of nowhere. I was left feeling iced out, hurt, and confused. There were a lot of questions, so here's some clarification. Update will be down below. Why did she look up my information and take a photo? I have been dealing with health issues that are progressively getting worse, and I have no answers and had no decent doctor. I think she took it upon herself to try and help by looking up my health insurance information. When asked why, she texted she was curious. I know she had good intentions, but I never gave her permission to look up my info or take a photo. If Alice had just asked me, I would have said no since I didn't want her jeopardizing her job. But also, if she would have only asked me, I would have let her know that I had already found a new doctor. Who did she send the photo to? As far as I know, just me. But her boyfriend uses her laptop and basically everything she owns. I believe he's read our conversations, which I had no clue until he brought up my health concerns that I confided in Alice, and has also sent me a few messages not clarifying it was him. So there was a very real possibility he saw the photo. More info. My SSN was not in the photo. I only said, what if it was? If it was, it would have been more serious. My name, address, birthday, and health insurance information was on there. Now for the update. After posting, I filed an official HIPAA complaint through the OCR website after many comments suggested it. I also reflected on this friend group and realized we had all been drifting apart for some time now. Even before the incident, Alice and I were growing apart. Bella started showing more signs of animosity and resentment here and there. But Cassie? We were actually growing closer, so when she started ghosting me, I was left hurt and confused. Later, Bella sent me a text inviting me to a group hangout with some of her friends, including Cassie but not Alice. I assume this was an intervention disguised as a hangout to maybe mend things between Alice, but I can't be for certain. I replied that while I appreciated the thought, I was not comfortable hanging out and did not like how some things were handled or said, especially since Bella tried shifting the blame to me when she texted me an apology beforehand. I also said that I needed space to reevaluate some things, but I told her to have fun and to stay safe. She replied, wishing me the best, but if I needed anything, she was going to be waiting for me while respecting my need for space. I haven't reached out since, but I've been thinking about it. Weeks passed and I was still stuck up on the situation. My sil got tired and finally asked me why I couldn't let it go. After taking some time to reflect on the reasons and my choices, I put my big girl pants on and made the decision to call. I called, got connected to the manager, and explained what happened. I offered to email the screenshots, and because of the small size of the clinic, they had to create a completely new email so I could send everything. The next day, I received an email explaining that the clinic would be starting their investigation days earlier than they initially said. Days passed, and I received a conclusion email giving me their thanks for having the courage to report and what they did. They put Alice on leave and reviewed the logs for several days. They brought her in for an HR meeting and decided on training Alice with some HIPAA training and are putting in measures so that this will never happen again. I'm sure this is not the update many expected or hoped for. I did what many recommended, but the decision was ultimately up to the clinic. I hope this was a wake-up call for Alice. I haven't heard anything from Alice, Bella, and Cassie since. My thoughts are that Alice made a stupid and careless mistake that nearly costed her job and ended our friendship. She's always had the habit of making careless mistakes without thinking or caring about the consequences until they came. As for her boyfriend, I don't know him that well, but I've seen red flags he's presented in person and from what Alice has told me. For why I didn't tell her, she's the type to not listen/make excuses about her relationship. Besides, I wouldn't be the first friend to drop her because of her behavior once she started dating her boyfriend. I also want to briefly say that when writing my original post, it was 4 a.m. and I was shaking with anxiety at the realization that I just lost my closest friends of a decade. I regret how messy it sounded with more gossip and ranting than actual facts of what happened, and I apologize for that. I hope that this update shows that I actually took time to process things and approach it with more maturity than my first one. Thank you everyone who responded to my original post with advice, support, and even criticism. I think the blunt comments calling me a doormat were the most helpful in helping me reflect about everything. I know it took me some time, but in the end, I called and got some closure. I think this whole situation pushed me to improve myself for the better, not just as a person, but to be a better friend to the future friends I'll meet. Thanks for reading, and at this moment, it will probably be my only update unless something significant happens. Edit. For those wondering, I deleted my first post. It had more detail and unnecessary venting that I was not comfortable leaving up, but this update has the important facts of the story up in the recap. Thanks for understanding. That's fair to do retraining and have the write-up in her folder. It's not something people in healthcare are supposed to do. I am sorry you lost friends out of the situation, though. Opie replies, "Thank you. But this situation taught me a lot, and I hope I find better friends one day. You did right by reporting the HIPAA violation. You were also right in realizing your friends were really no longer real friends anymore. You're at an age where big life changes happen and old friends often go by the wayside as we come to find others that are more closely aligned with where we see ourselves in the big scheme of things. You'll be fine. Keep the good memories and just let those women go their own ways." Opie replies, "Thank you for this. It was hard since I knew them for so long, but I saw the signs, but didn't want to admit it to myself that we were all growing apart." Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my wife to not make breakfast for me anymore? I'm 45M and she's 41F. We're married with no kids or pets. One lazy Saturday morning while I'm sleeping late before going to gym, she wakes me to ask if I want her to make me breakfast. Her. Do you want me to make you breakfast? Me. No, I'll make something later when I get up. Her. Why can't you just let me make you something? Me. Boiled eggs. She then goes to kitchen and comes back and starts using her phone in bed. A few minutes pass, more than enough time for the eggs to be done, but she's engrossed in her phone. She doesn't move from the bed. I eventually get up and go check them. Her. Where are you going? Me. To check the eggs. I get to the kitchen and I see it's 3 eggs in the pot. I normally boil 2 for myself, so it's apparent she put 1 for herself. She shouts from the bed, "Can you make me an egg with some toast?" I'm pissed because she was waking me up earlier than I wanted to get up by offering to do something I didn't want and something that I ended up doing despite her volunteering. When she was in bed on her phone, I didn't say, "Hey, don't forget the eggs," because I'd feel like I was bossing her around. And I don't think she did it as some ploy to get me to make her breakfast. I think she genuinely intended to make it, but got caught up doom scrolling. Not the a-hole. My response to, "Why can't you just let me make you some eggs?" would have been, "Because I'm clearly not hungry. I was asleep. You woke me up to ask me this. Why would I want eggs while I was asleep? Am I the a-hole for wanting to ask her to not make me breakfast anymore?" She means it as an act of love, but it became a task of annoyance. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.